Liam is a song by the German band Faun as part of their 2022 album Pagan. In this video, let's work through the song bit by bit and find out exactly what it means and how the language in it works. I recommend you follow along as we go through. There are links on screen and in the description. I'll also provide timestamps on screen for each section of lyrics so you know where in the song we are. This is quite a sad song. It's about someone whose love goes overboard during a storm. The song's structure consists of 3 sets of 2 verses followed by the chorus. I won't go over the same chorus each time, but I will indicate when it occurs, both with my mouth and on screen. Here's the first verse. I'll read it out loud, then we'll work through it. An einem Wintertag, als nicht bei ihr lag, Sturm blies, der die Wellen brach, als ihr Schatz in See stach. So the first line here is quite straightforward. An einem Wintertag means on a winter's day. Wintertag is in the dative case as shown on the article, because it follows the preposition an. Next is a clause using als. This is the word for when used in the past tense. It's a subordinator, so sends the verb, in this case lag, the past tense of liegen, to lie, to the end of the clause. Bei, like many prepositions, has many meanings, but here it means next to. It always takes the dative case, represented here by ihr. Blies is the simple past tense of blasen, meaning to blow. We then have a relative clause, introduced by the relative pronoun, which modifies Sturm. Finally, we have another als clause. This time, ihr is the feminine possessor, meaning her. Schatz is a common term of endearment. It literally translates as treasure, but here means darling or sweetheart. Stach is the past tense of stechen, meaning to prick or to sting, but here it's used in the set phrase in See stechen, which correlates to the English put to sea. So word for word, this verse is on a winter's day, when he not next to her lay, storm blew, which the waves broke, as her sweetheart to sea put. Or we could do a clean translation of on a winter's day when he wasn't lying beside her, a storm blew which broke the waves apart, as her sweetheart put to sea. On to the next verse. Again, I'll read it, have a think yourself, and then we'll work through. Der Nachtwind weinte es in ihr Ohr, weit draußen, da ging dein Schatz verloren. The first part is quite straightforward. Nachtwind is a compound of Nacht and Wind. Weinte is the regular past tense form of weinen, to cry. Line 3 literally means far outside, but it could perhaps be better translated as far away. Finally, the last line, which contains the separable verb verloren gehen, meaning to go missing. Like all separable verbs, half of the verb appears in the second idea of the sentence as the clause's main verb, while the other half goes to the end to complete the meaning. Obviously, there's some repetition here, which doesn't much change the meaning, other than adding slight emphasis to the repeated elements, but is mainly used to match the rhythm of the song. So, word for word we have, the night wind cried it in her ear. Far outside, there went your sweetheart missing. Or a better translation of, the night wind wailed it in her ear. Far away her sweetheart went missing. Onto the chorus. The song's chorus appears 3 times in total. Once here and twice elsewhere. I'll let you know when that happens. Liam, Liam, ich bin immer bei dir. Liam, Liam, auch ich lieb das Meer. Liam, 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 bald komm ich zu dir. Obviously most of this is just repetition of Liam, the presumed name of the love who was lost. But let's go through the other 3 lines. These are quite simple sentences. Again we have the preposition by, which demands the dative form of du, which is dir. Meer is the word for sea, and we also see the word lieb. This is just the word Liebe, the first person singular present of lieben, except that the e on the end of the word has been omitted. This is common in casual speech, but also in poetry or song, like here. The last line of the chorus contains a similar thing. While normally we may expect to see comma, here it's com. So let's do a translation. Liam, Liam, I am always near you. Liam, Liam, also I love the sea. Liam, 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 soon come I to you. Or to put it more naturally, Liam, Liam, I'm always with you. Liam, Liam, as I love the sea. Liam, 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 soon I'll come to you. Next verse. Mit des Vaters Boot folgte sie im Morgenrot, segelte Tage, viele Nächte, betete zu allen Mächten. On the first line we have a genitive construction, which is getting rarer in modern spoken German, but is still important to know. The mit here is describing the boat, and the part between is showing who the boat belongs to, the father. It's assumed here that we're talking about her father, even though it doesn't actually say. You will encounter this in German, particularly in reference to body parts. Perhaps someone might say the hand instead of my hand, if this can be assumed from context. The genitive is marked on both the noun, with an S, and the article, which shows the genitive singular form. The next line continues the same sentence, beginning with folgte, the past tense of folgen, to follow. We then see the articulated preposition im, a contraction of in dem, implying through the dative case that the movement is happening in the dawn, rather than into it. Morgenrot literally refers to the red sky of dawn, but can also refer to dawn in general. On the third line we have segelte, the past tense of segeln, to sail, and on the fourth line we have the same form of beten, to pray. Mächten is the dative plural of Macht, meaning power, here referring either to the gods or to the forces of nature, or perhaps both. Allen is the dative plural of al, agreeing with the head noun. So, a word-for-word translation. With the father's boat, followed she in the dawn, sailed days, many nights, prayed to all powers. Or better, with her father's boat she followed in the dawn, she sailed for many days and nights, and prayed to all the powers. On to the next verse. Das Schicksal neigte und erbarmte sich. Weit draußen, da fand sie das Schiff. The main issues you may have with this verse are in the vocab. Schicksal means fate or destiny. Neigte is the past tense form of neigen, meaning to bend or tilt. In this case, it's sharing a reflexive pronoun with erbarmte, the past tense of erbarmen, which means to have mercy or take pity. On the third line, we see repetition of a line from earlier in the song, then a slightly different final line. Fand is the irregular past tense form of finden, to find. Schiff is the word for ship. So we can do a word-for-word translation of fate bent, bent and had mercy itself. Far outside, there found she the ship. Or better, fate bent down and had mercy on her. Far away she found the ship. At this point we hear the chorus play again before we move on to the next verse. Captain, sprech nur zu, ist mein Schatz bei deiner Crew. Wellen rissen ihn von Bord, das wilde Meer zog ihn fort. So you'll probably recognise a few words here, namely captain and crew. These are actually words borrowed straight from English and are rarely used except in nautical or aviation contexts. The normal words for captain and crew are Kapitän and Mannschaft, respectively. The first line has an example of a separable verb, zu sprechen. This has a few meanings. It can mean to grant or award, such as with a certificate, although it's often used in legal contexts, where a court is awarding someone their rightful property. It can also mean to comfort, and this is a little closer to the meaning we want. While I'd probably translate it here as tell, it does have a positive connotation that's hard to transfer to the English. Moving to the third line, we see the captain's response to what the girl says on the first two lines. Welle means wave, appearing here in the plural. Rissen is the irregular past tense of reißen, meaning to snatch, rip, drag, tear or pull. Bort, unsurprisingly, means board, as in on board or overboard, which we don't use much on its own in English, but can be used like that more in German. Zog is the past tense of ziehen, to drag or to pull. Fort is an adverb meaning away or gone. So, a word-for-word translation would be, Captain, speak just to, is my sweetheart with your crew. Waves snatched him from board. The wild sea dragged him away. Or in natural English, Captain, just tell me true. Is my love on your crew? The waves snatched him overboard. The wild sea dragged him away. So, there's just one verse left. After that, the chorus plays for a final time, and then the song reaches its end. Das Mädchen weinte, es weinte so sehr, weit draußen flossen Tränen in das Meer. Again, we see repetition of structures and some words we've already encountered. This verse particularly seems to echo the second verse of the song, with its crying and the structure of the verse. The only words you might not know are flossen and Tränen. Flossen is the plural past tense of fließen, meaning to flow. Tränen means tears, and is the plural of Träne. There are two interesting grammar points in this. The first is the use of s to describe the girl. Unlike in English, you don't always use nouns' natural genders for pronouns referencing them. Instead, you use grammatical gender. Since Mädchen is neuter, we use the neuter pronoun s instead of the feminine, even though it references a female person. In the same way you'd refer to a chair as he and a bridge as she, instead of using the generic it. Another grammatical point which we've mentioned already is the use of the accusative with prepositions to indicate motion. Since in here is used with the accusative instead of the dative, we translate it as into instead of the more static in. So let's look at the word-for-word gloss. The girl cried. It cried so much. Far outside flowed tears into the sea. Or in natural English, the girl wept. She wept so much. Far away tears flowed into the sea. I hope you liked this video. If you haven't seen it, I did the same concept with another song about a year ago. That's linked in all the linky places. I have some big plans coming up for this channel, including hopefully a new series in the new year. So I hope to see you next time. Tschüss!